I'd like to call the village board meeting to order. Roll call, please.
President Byrne,
Here.
Trustees Cook,
Here.
Schwartz,
Here?
Williams,
Aye.
Hebda,
Here.
Schultz,
Here.
Markwart.
Here.
Okay, we have a quorum present. Would everybody please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, are there any citizens here that wish to address the board at this time, other than citizens that are here that want to address the board at committee of the whole? Because at committee of the whole, you'll be recognized and be able to address the board. So, anybody got any new business or issues? Okay. All right. Proclamation for Deputy Chief Tony Ugaste for his dedicated service to, let's see, what's the name of the fire department now, Tony? I'm only kidding. Lincolnshire Riverwoods Fire Protection District. And you want to step up here, please, or? There's a good one here. Okay. Tony Ugaste, you started there in December of 1980.
Yes, 1983.
83?
Yeah, well, 82 actually I started.
Why did we put down 80 then?
I don't know.
Well, who talked to
Gave you
Tony?
extra time.
In 80, I was still
Were
with
you
Lake.
doing
I was
like-
still with Lake Bluff at that time. So,
Okay, so
yeah.
He was
we
fine.
start, well,
Yes.
we got to correct this then. Okay, well, I'm glad you have answered that question.
Well, he was still a fireman though.
Okay, so Tony was a fireman since 1980.
Yes.
All right. During his tenure, Tony served as a firefighter, paramedic, fire marshal, deputy chief. Working with Human Resources, Deputy Chief Ugaste was instrumental in helping Lincolnshire Riverwoods Fire Protection District become an internationally accredited fire agency. After 34 years of dedicated service, Deputy Chief Tony Ugaste will retire on June 6th, which is now come and gone. So you're actually
Yes, I have retired.
Yeah. So you got a job in Wisconsin like your
No,
brother?
no, I have a part-time job in Wheeling as a training officer.
Okay, well, I figured you wouldn't miss a beat.
Nope.
Okay. In retirement, Tony plans to enjoy fishing and golfing while he looks forward to the Blackhawks next season. Oh, that's kind of heart-rendering, you know, Tony?
Yeah.
Okay. Now therefore be proclaimed that I, Roger L. Byrne, President, and the Village Board of Trustees do hereby express our sincerest appreciation to Tony Ugaste for his faithful service to the residents of Vernon Hills and wish him and his family well in retirement. Dated this 17th day of June, 2014. You want to take a picture of the old man
You
from
come
up
this
here?
way.
or-
Come behind me.
I think she was behind you already.
Okay. Tony, well, this is for you.
Yes.
Tony's gonna say something.
I'd like to thank the board for the recognition. Over my years, I spent a lot of time working with the village, both in the Fire Prevention Bureau, when we went to build our third station. It's been a pleasure. I've enjoyed working with the staff from the village. Wonderful people, the board, wonderful people. If I can, for just a second, what I'd like to do, I spoke at my retirement, and the one person that I should have recognized as being responsible for a 30-some-odd year career more than anybody else is my wife, Cindy. She was always home when I was out, helping whoever needed me from the community, and she was home holding down the fort, and when I went for promotions and things like that, she was running around to other departments to gather books so I'd have material to study. I couldn't have done any of this without her. She's just the most wonderful person I know, and I feel terrible because I was so nervous I didn't get it out at the retirement ceremony. So I just want to thank her and my son, Joey. My father-in-law, Joe, is here. And to the board, thank you so much. It's been a wonderful career, and I'm still around, so I'm still on the Traffic Advisory Committee, so
So you're not moving out of town?
no, I am not moving out of town. I plan on being a Vernon Hills resident for some time.
All right.
But thank you very much.
And
Thank you.
Tony,
It's been
I'm sure if
wonderful.
something bad happened, you'd be there.
You bet.
Yeah, okay, thanks,
Thank
Tony.
you.
Thank you.
Great guy.
Oh, trustee Cook.
Yeah, I just want to say, because when firemen retire in that, and this goes for the police too, being in education, we have fire drills all the time. And the whole point of the fire drill is to get out of the building and as quickly as possible. And firemen do exactly the opposite. They're going into the building. And that makes you guys a very rare breed. And without guys like you, the rest of us wouldn't be as safe as we are. So thank you very much for your service.
Okay. Next is, we have Joe Carey, who's our new assistant village manager, but to make it official, we have to swear him in. And Joe, I mean, do you want me to swear you in?
Or swear.
Or you got somebody special you want to swear you in?
You're special.
Really?
Right answer. Great. He learns fast,
Yeah.
doesn't he?
Okay, yeah. All right, Joe, flattery will get you nowhere. So, all right. Well, you, all right, we're gonna stand here then.
Same place you wish.
I, Joe Carey.
I, Joe Carey.
You done this before?
No.
Okay. All right. Do solemnly swear
Do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
Constitution of the State of Illinois,
Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office of Deputy Village, Village Clerk. Okay, but Deputy Village Clerk,
the office of Deputy Village Clerk,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my abilities.
Okay, congratulations. All right. I was gonna ask you, in Illinois, do you support like, some constitutional amendments?
I plugged it in, it's not working.
Okay. All right, what do we got next? Okay, French Market, John Calmer.
Thank you, Your Honor. Just a reminder to everybody that the French Market is now open
You're okay.
and has been open now for 2 weeks, located at the Metro train station in the parking lot. There are currently about 12 to 15 vendors that are working out there right now. A French Market, unlike a farmer's market, has both a mixture of food products and also other types of retail things, clothing, some jewelry and the like. So really a great event so far. Dave Brown and his team from Public Works spent a lot of time working on getting that set up and the like. So it's a pretty unique type of shopping opportunity. The market's open 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. and it will run until on all Saturdays until September 20th. So we'd like to encourage folks to get out.
Okay. Next is Pipe City, huh?
2 items with regards to this, Your Honor. First, as you know, the VHCYAA, or we'll refer to them as the Cougars, are authorized concession vendors at the VHAC through an agreement that we have with them. During last year's Pipe City Lacrosse tournament, American Hotel Register worked the event. They worked their own parking lot, and then the Cougars then provided concessions throughout the rest of the VHAC for the event itself. American Hotel, through the Leahy Foundation, has approached the Cougars about the possibility of providing concessions for both properties this year. And through discussions, the Cougars have agreed to allow the foundation to operate all the concessions for the Pipe City event. As you know, the 2013 concession agreement prohibits anyone except the Cougars from doing this, and also prohibits them from assigning the license to any other group. The agreement also gives us the right, us being the village, the right to designate an alternative concessionaire for a specific tournament or event upon notice to the Cougars. Because of this agreement between the two groups, I need your authorization to issue a letter giving the Cougars notice, and this letter would also then authorize the Leahy Foundation to provide concession services for the VHAC during the Pipe City Lacrosse tournament on July 12th and 13th.
And what's the intent of what's the I guess the goal of the Leahy
It's a
Foundation?
charitable organization or foundation that provides certain donations and like outside the corporate programs that they have. It's run by the family, the Leahy family, which are the owners of the American Hotel Register. I don't know who the benefactors are.
Okay. But I mean, in years gone by, the money stayed within the community for ongoing athletic endeavors.
That may be the case. I don't know.
So has anybody talked to the Leahys?
Yes, actually, we've had a couple meetings with them, Bart Leahy and Bob Baker from, or Bart Leahy, I should say. And then I also had a conversation with Mark Peterson with regards to this and had the acknowledgement that they have they're agreeing to do this, so.
All right, well, Trustee Schultz.
Is the Leahy Foundation a 5013C?
I believe so, but I'll check.
Yeah.
It is.
As long as, so with that in mind, I'll make the motion to authorize you to enter into the appropriate agreements and issue the proper notifications, contingent upon the fact that this is a legitimate 5013C.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further comments or questions? Yeah, I'll just make a comment. I mean, the reality is, the Leahy family's been very good to this town. And it's provided 25 acres of ball fields that are used by the high school kids when the school's in session, and that's been in place for, I don't know, 10 years. Probably longer than that since the high school opened. So for $1 a year. So they're good people, and they are supportive of this community. So, okay. All right, roll call.
Trustees Schwartz,
Aye.
Williams,
Aye.
Hebda,
Aye.
Schultz,
Aye.
Markwart,
Aye.
Cook.
Aye.
For the record, I'd vote aye.
Thank you.
Motion carries. Okay, Finance Director.
Oh,
Nope,
wait,
I'm sorry.
I got one more.
Proposed pathway connection from,
Following along
Yeah.
with your comment with regards to the fields, as a part of this tournament, and Dave and I will kind of tag team on this one, there's a grass pathway that operates between both the American Hotel project property and the VHAC property. It's a mowed grass path that was not specifically installed or designed to handle a lot of pedestrian traffic that go back and forth. American Hotel wants to improve this path and install a gravel pathway between the two properties. Basically, all the work would occur on the American Hotel site. It would connect into ours, and then it would allow for better footing and better access for pedestrians moving between the two. It really is a situation where American Hotel is trying to improve the safety between the two properties. And what we're asking for is, what we'd like to do is encourage them to move forward on the path. And while we're not proposing to spend any money on it per se, that we would work with them to get this accomplished prior to that Pipe City event. So if you're okay with us working together with them, we'll do so.
oh, absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
Everybody okay with that one?
Yes.
I just had a question, though.
Trustee Markwart.
Dave, in the process, is this in the same location where we were looking at a path, through the years prior?
It is. There's actually two different locations we've been considering. This location has been the one we've talked most about. It is north of the detention pond and down slope of the berm south of the treatment plant. So it's already asphalt from the interior roadway. It is a beaten path. It was fenced off. But when you have a big event like this, there's a lot of people who are all storming that fence, and there's no holding them back.
Another question, I know they're doing it, but there are restrictions or safety features of the grade. Will you assist them in proper grading of this site?
We'll work with American Hotel Register and try to make it as safe as possible given the constraints of the site and the slope. Yes, we will help them.
Is that about it?
That's it for me.
Okay. Larry Nakron, personnel rule change update.
Right. And I actually have two items, but one is just a quick change to the consent agenda or a resolution that's been distributed. I'll get to that second. First thing is some personnel rule changes that are reflected in resolution 2014-114. Kristen Shepard, our payroll and HR benefits specialist, drafted these rules and had them approved by Attorney Durkin. The first one is an employee incident reporting policy, and that really just puts more definition on existing reporting rules, just to make it more explicit what everybody has to do in the time frames. And the second is the employment of relatives policy, and that really broadens the definition of relatives from blood relatives to recognize relatives through marriage and basically within our existing framework of reflecting hiring and reflecting issues of supervision. Both those rules are on in the consent agenda in resolution 2014-114. And then I will mention I'm distributing another version of resolution 2014-116 on the consent agenda. There were two more. This was an amendment of resolution 2014-103 that was passed 2 weeks ago, and regarding the raises, and there were two more part-time permanent positions that should have been listed on that resolution, the part-time crime prevention officer and the part-time electrical inspector. Any questions on either of those issues?
Staff have any concerns about any of this?
No, actually, the immediate family definition that was included, or the expanded language in there, it basically includes the immediate family definition now where it didn't in the past.
So this is germane to a same-sex?
Well, what it's germane to,
Marriage.
it's a marriage or a civil union as defined, and basically what it does is it eliminates the hiring of any type of immediate family member within the department where you work. And then it also recognizes that if you, over the years, create a civil union or a marriage within that same department, it recognizes that as being okay as long as there is not a chain of command or direct supervision experience that's set up through that union or marriage. So,
Okay.
and it clarifies some things that.
So Larry, you're okay with that?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. All right. So, well, I just, I wanted to clarify that. That's, that's the law, so.
Okay, it is.
And so we're compliant.
Absolutely.
All right, fine. Okay, what's next? Okay, Chief,
That would be me.
You have a speaking part. Northfield Black Overweight Truck Scale Agreement.
That's a mouthful.
Is this got anything to do with like the bridge formula and all that?
Actually, it does. Actually, it does. That all works in there.
I didn't think you thought I knew that.
You didn't think I knew that, did you?
Oh, yeah, you better know it, you know.
Anyway, the police department currently has 5 officers trained in overweight vehicle enforcement. Obviously, in order to enforce overweight vehicles, we have to have a place to weigh them. To that end, the police department and our officers have worked out a very good working relationship with Northfield Block Company. They are the only scale in the area within 3 towns around us that are capable of weighing these large semis in a single draft. Unfortunately, in 2013, the scale broke. They don't use the scale to the extent that we do. They just use it to just make sure their trucks are okay. In order for us to use it, it has to be approved and inspected by the State of Illinois Department of Agriculture. They've entered into a plan to replace the scale this year. It's going to cost them $26,000 to do that, but to bring it up to our standards for the police department, it's going to cost them $36,000. Now, the Vernon Hills Police and Mundelein Police also use the scale, and we have access to the scale 24 hours a day. What they have asked is if we would entertain making a contribution of $5,000 for each of the 2 communities to bring the scale up to standards as they're rebuilding it as we speak. I think it's a great investment. We usually generate somewhere between $10,000 and $15,000 in overweight fines a year. After the scale broke, obviously that dropped down to 0. Since this was not a budgeted expense, I'm recommending that we make the expenditure out of our asset forfeiture account. We have just under $45,000 in there, and we rarely touch that money for anything. This is a permitted use for the asset funds, and I think it's a very good idea.
And what will the scale be, the maximum limit be for the scale? I mean, can it go-
Usually scales like this are about 120,000 pounds. It may be more than that because some of the vehicles that we weigh, especially permit loads, can be considerably higher than that. So I'm not sure what their maximum weight is, but I'm sure it'll be at least 120,000 pounds.
Really?
Bob Kenny has drafted an intergovernmental agreement letter between them and us delineating, the cost, that it's a one-time expense, and what our rights and obligations are, and as well as their responsibilities to granting us 24-hour access. If you approve of this, you don't need to take any further action right now. It's on the omnibus agenda as one of the resolution items, item E. So no action needs to be taken now. If you concur with this, then it'll just go in as the omnibus agenda.
Yeah.
Great.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Let's keep going there. No, that's about it. Okay, is there a motion to approve the omnibus vote agenda, which is items A through M?
So moved.
Second?
A motion is second. Comments or questions? Anybody want to pull anything?
Motion to approve?
Okay. Motion is second. Roll call.
Trustees
We already
Hebda,
did it.
What's that? We already did, we already
We've
voted?
motioned and approved.
Yeah,
We have
okay,
4
well,
motions, so we
okay, roll call then,
Trustees Hebda,
Larry
Everybody's in favor.
Nacker's distracting
Schultz?
me here,
Aye.
All I can-
Markwart,
Aye.
Cook,
Aye.
Schwartz,
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
Excuse me, motion carried. Okay, next item is approval of Kemper voucher list of bills dated June 17th, 2014, in the amount of $12,183.20. Is there a motion to approve?
So made.
Second.
Motion is second. Comments or questions? If none, roll call.
Trustee Schultz,
Aye.
Markwart,
Aye.
Cook,
Aye.
Schwartz,
Abstain?
Williams,
Aye.
Hebda.
Aye.
And for the record, I'd vote aye. Motion carries. Okay, what do we got here? What is this, one? Yeah. Okay, next item is approval of the June 3rd, 2014 Village Board meeting minutes. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve?
Second?
Comments, questions, corrections, deletions? If none, roll call, please.
Trustees Markwart,
Aye.
Cook,
Aye.
Schwartz,
Aye.
Williams,
Aye.
Hebda,
Aye.
Schultz.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay. Under new business, approval and passage of resolution 2014-112, a resolution granting approval to operate an outdoor sales event for Dick's Sporting Goods located at 700 North Milwaukee Avenue. What's the dates on that?
The dates are Friday, June 27th through Sunday, July 13th. And it's a special event request, so unlike an outdoor merchandise display permit, they would be limited to just those dates and nothing beyond that. If they wanted to do
Dick?
anything else, they'd have to come before the board.
Okay, anybody got any questions for the
I do.
trustee
Where will the
Williams?
outside displays be?
Just to the left of the entrance and just to the right of the entrance.
All right, if I'm on 60 looking at Dick's, is it going to be to the left of the building or just by your door there?
It'll be on our property or within the building limits, just to the left of our
It could be
entrance.
both entries, this one and that one. Gotcha.
Well, the entry that faces north, that faces Town Line, it'll be on the right and the left side of that entry.
Right.
And the one facing east,
Nothing there.
There is nothing there.
nothing there. That's better, thank you.
Okay, trustee Hebda.
Yes.
So you're talking about a sale that starts on the 27th and goes through until the 13th of July?
Correct. It's taken down every night, brought inside, put back up the next morning.
And what, are you gonna have like clothing?
Clearance, it's all clothing. Clothing and shoes.
Why so long?
That's the dates that corporate gave us.
It's a what?
It was originally, it's the dates that corporate gave us to run it.
I mean, I have a concern because with Michael's and all the issues that we've had over there with their sidewalk sales, I mean, I understand like a weekend, but you're talking about only two good weeks.
It's just short of that, yeah. The lease allows us to run it once a year. That's what
But you've never done it before here
No, it's
that
the
I
first
know.
time. Yeah, it's the first time.
I guess it just throws a red flag for me unless you're,
I think, you mean your lease allows you to come and ask for it?
The lease allows us to go outside once a year
and have a
for an
sidewalk
event.
sale.
Yeah.
Right.
And then, of course, in addition to that, they need village board approval to do it as well.
That's what I was getting at, yes. The lease might allow it, but we have to allow it.
Right, that's
also.
why I'm here tonight.
I think 2 weeks is too long.
I agree. I think that's long for a sidewalk sale. I could understand, I can't even understand a week. So that just kind of, we don't have a whole lot of merchandising outside. I mean, people usually keep it within the building. So we've had a problem with that before with one of our vendors. So that concerns me, raises a red flag.
May I ask what type of problems they had?
It's just the appearance of it. It just looks tasteless, in my opinion.
Well, all of our items are on racks. None of it's laying in.
But most stores put their items on racks in their building and they come in and they're there to purchase them unless you do like a weekend sale like over the 4th of July. But I guess I don't understand why it has to be like 2 weeks in length.
That question I couldn't tell you.
You can't, yeah.
That's the parameters they set for us.
That's corporate.
Yeah.
It's corporate.
Yeah, they set for all of our stores. They were doing it chain wide.
Trustee Cook.
Couple of concerns. I'm sorry, a couple of concerns. I'm worried a little bit about the 5 feet that to the left of, as you're looking at the front to the left, it's only going to allow like 5 feet of sidewalk. If you shift that a little, could you maybe squeeze another foot or two into
Sure.
the sidewalk?
We can condense the sides of it if need be. We can
I don't have
move
the
it
same
farther
problem
back.
because we've allowed a number of places in the past to have them even longer than a couple weeks. But I would say, stick with what you're drawing shows, because that was one of the problems we had with one of the other people in town, was they just kept adding to it.
No,
They weren't
we wouldn't do
sticking
that.
with the
And if we-
approved drawing.
If we need to be
And-
farther
and,
away, we can move it farther away. We can cut it down if we have to.
I'm concerned that the 5 feet there, because that's a pretty busy stretch of roadway in front, that's the circle through the whole
Right.
mall. So I'd like to see a little more than,
That's not a
the
problem.
closer to 6 or 8 feet you can get, the
Yeah,
better.
that's not a problem.
Okay, so is there a motion to grant, a permit to actually operate for a week?
Well, no, I'll motion to approve what they asked for, so.
Okay. All right,
Excuse me, with the condition of a minimum 8-foot clear width for pedestrian access?
Yeah.
Okay.
okay, is there a second?
No, it was second
Mike's
here.
All right, roll call.
Trustees Cook,
Aye?
Schwartz,
Aye.
Williams,
No,
Hebda,
No.
Schultz,
Aye.
Markwart.
Reluctantly, aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries.
All right, thank you very
All
much.
right. Okay. Okay, is there any other new business or communication to come before the board?
Yes.
Trustee Schultz?
At the last meeting, the chief was off taking a well-deserved week of vacation and wasn't here, and I put his commander on the spot, asking him about cell phone violations and whether or not we were aggressively enforcing the new Illinois cell phone hands-free law. The chief got back to me on his return and indicated that while during the first few months of the year it was brutally cold, it made it rather difficult to have enforcement by placing officers out in the street, pulling people over at stop signs or whatever, or during specific areas, especially near the schools and things of that nature. They really began enforcing really beginning April 1st. And this all started, I had several local folks here in town, residents, asking about this because they were kind of upset seeing people still driving through the village one hand. And the one that got me, though, was a person on a bike, biking through town with the cell phone wedged there. But anyway, the chief tells me that we've had 93 cell phone violation citations issued during the months of April and May. 71 of them were standard violations, 22 were school zone violations. Since July 1st, they've conducted 2 selective enforcements, same way that we respond and do selective enforcements with speeding cars that we've had on Evergreen, Greg's Parkway, and others. And that first activity resulted in 11 citations being issued, and the second one was 7. So that's another 18. So we've cracked 110. Yep. So for those of you that are interested, we are in fact enforcing it. So go to your phone supplier and get yourself an earbud or stop using your cell phone in your car. That's it.
Amen. Anything else to come before the board under new business or communication? Okay, if not, I'd like to, need a motion to adjourn the board meeting and go into committee of the whole.
So made.
Second.
Motion is second, roll call.
Trustee Schwartz,
Aye.
Williams,
aye.
Hebda,
Aye.
Schultz,
Aye.
Markwart,
Aye.
Cook.
Aye.
Motion carries. I'd like to call the committee of the whole meeting to order. Is there a motion to approve The committee of the whole meeting minutes of June 3rd, 2014.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Motion is second. Roll call.
Trustees Cook,
Aye?
Schwartz,
Aye.
Williams,
Aye.
Hebda,
Aye.
Schultz,
Aye.
Markwart.
Aye.
Motion carries. Is there anybody here for the Deer Path parking study? Okay, then we'll certainly move forward with Menards. Is there anybody here in the room that, regarding citizens that want the Menards? Would like the Menards in town? Is there anybody in the room? Yeah, would like us to let it be built there? I just wanted to get that out of the way. Okay. Yeah. That's what I thought, but Okay. Where do we want to start, staff? At the beginning? Should we go back
Too far
to,
back.
should we go back to letters of awareness?
Well, I
Or you
mean,
don't want to start that far back? huh?
I don't think we want to go that far back.
Okay. Everybody knows what that is though, right? When you bought your houses, you know what the letter of awareness was? It was part of the closing documents? Nobody remembers that, right? Did you have one, Dennis? Okay, so nobody had one of those. That doesn't shock me that you don't remember it, but, kind of clarified what was going to be done on this property going back probably to 1988, as far as it being zoned B1, which is an obvious commercial use like there is across the street. So that was 36 acres. This is 36 acres. It wasn't ever going to lay fallow. I just want to explain that to the folks in the room. So,
Your Honor, maybe have Assistant Manager Carey run through the results of the Planning and Zoning Commission and the public hearing that were held.
Sure.
And go through the various items that were requested and recommended, along with some of the conditions, and then we answer any questions that might come out from that.
Would be good. Thank you.
So on May 28th, representatives from Menards appeared before the Planning and Zoning Commission. They requested 5 items. The approval of a special use permit for a planned unit development to allow the development of a 4-lot subdivision and a retail building known as Menards on Lot 1 with certain variations, including but not limited to building height and setbacks, signage height, size and setback, parking and loading requirements, preliminary and final approval of a plat of subdivision, preliminary and final approval of the site plan for Lot 1 with recommended variations and conditions of approval, preliminary and final site and landscaping plan approvals, and lastly, preliminary and final approval of the architectural elevations, including building and ground-mounted signage.
Yeah.
Important to note of those items, the final site and landscaping plans, as well as the architectural elevations and building and ground-mounted signage, were not approved by the Planning and Zoning Commission for a recommendation. Those are items that still will have to go back before the Planning and Zoning Commission sometime in early July to receive a recommendation to then go back before the Committee of the Whole for review. The petitioner has, as I stated, recommended a 4-lot subdivision. They're proposing on Lot 1 the new Menards Home Improvement Store. That lot is approximately 17.7 acres and would consist of a 286,000 square foot building. The developer is also proposing 382 total parking stalls for this lot.
what's the square footage?
286,000 square feet. That includes the
warehouse.
That includes the warehouse.
And the mezzanine.
Including.
It includes the warehouse, the garden center.
But under roof, it's actually 225.
That's, yes.
I mean, in the permanent structure, it's climatized.
Correct.
Okay.
The building, it will be 2 stories and is approximately 50 feet in height. It does contain an indoor-outdoor garden center and an outdoor yard for pickup and deliveries. And the proposed plan, as stated, does include an accessory warehouse, which is approximately 44,000 square feet. The deliveries at this location will take place at the rear of the building through 3 enclosed loading spaces on the west side of the building. Currently, the building deliveries are proposed to take place during business hours, and the yard area will be enclosed on the north and west sides by a 14-foot high wood fence. Access to the entire development will come from existing curb cuts on Milwaukee Avenue, across from Red Top Plaza, and from Greg's Parkway, directly across to the main easterly entrance driveway found on the south side near the Marianos. Both IDOT and Lake County DOT have previously approved these access points prior to the development of Greg's Landing. It also should be noted that a new 8-foot wide sidewalk will be installed on the north side of Greg's Parkway and along the west side of Milwaukee Avenue. As the committee is aware, there was a study that was contracted with Millennium and Associates, which is included in your packets. Also, in addition to that, Menards did take a traffic study took place with KLOA, who is present for any questions, to look at improvements of the adjacent roadways. Milwaukee Avenue will see improvements with the reestablishment of the left and right turn lanes from Milwaukee Avenue into the site. These turn lanes were constructed when Milwaukee Avenue was improved for Greg's Landing.
Yeah.
In addition to those two items, KLOA, which was the traffic engineer for the petitioner, did have two main findings, one of which was confirmed that the village engineer, we are working with the Lake County DOT and our own traffic consultant on the placement of a traffic signal on Greg's Parkway at the entrance to the proposed development. Ultimately, warrants will need to be met in order to permit the installation, and Lake County DOT will need to improve the signal based on the Greg's Landing land management agreement. In addition to that, we are reviewing the Lakeview and Fairway intersection, and the traffic impact study done by the petitioner does reflect that a traffic signal may be warranted for this intersection prior to the Menards build-out. Just for everyone's education, notices were sent out for the Planning and Zoning Commission to the Greg's Landing North Homeowners Association, Bay Hill Homeowners Association, and the surrounding property and business owners. A total of 9 individuals addressed the Planning and Zoning Commission to offer testimony, and their specific comments were attached with your packets. So, as I stated, not every item was approved through the Planning and Zoning Commission process. Final approval of the site lighting plan, the building and site signage plan, landscape plan, and the architectural plans all still need to go before the Planning and Zoning Commission for review, which again should take place in early July. Staff has met with Menards and discussed the architecture and is making progress. Menards is also meeting with staff and the Bay Hill Homeowners Association this Thursday to discuss the landscaping along the western elevation, to provide screening, adequate screening to provide for the residents, as well as staff will be meeting with Menards to discuss the north elevation for the residents in Libertyville who will also be impacted by this change. So as I kind of stated, there's 3 items that were approved by the Planning and Zoning Commission. That was the plan unit development consisting of the 4 lots, the preliminary final and site improvement plan for the PUD and the Lot 1, as well as the plat of subdivision. Included in those were 32 conditions and 6 variations. The conditions of approval, as a summary, included lighting standards, truck and delivery restrictions, landscaping, and building material requirements. The variations, which total 6, include the allowance of a reduction in the number of parking spaces on Lot 1 from 899 spaces as required by the annexation agreement to 382 spaces, to allow 2 multi-tenant ground-mounted monument signs to exceed the maximum of 50 square feet in size and exceed the maximum height of 8 feet, to allow 3 directional signs at the lumberyard entrance to be larger than 3 square feet, to allow 2 wall-mounted signs on the Menards building in lieu of the maximum 1, to allow the cumulative total of wall-mounted signs to be greater than 3% of the front elevation of the building, And lastly, to allow a reduction in off-street loading spaces from 6 to 3. So in conclusion, if the committee of the whole does feel that this request is appropriate, it is recommended that staff be directed to prepare the necessary ordinance granting approval of the following 3 items. Approval of a special use permit for a planned unit development to allow development of a 4-lot subdivision and a retail building known as Mendards on Lot 1. 2, preliminary and final approval of the plat of subdivision. And lastly, preliminary and final approval of the site plan for Lot 1. All these approvals being subject to the compliance of the variance and conditions of approval listed above in your packets. And I'm entertaining any questions, as well as the petitioner and his associates are here as well.
Okay, who in the audience is residents lives within 250 feet of this? Okay, do you have a spokesperson that wants to come up here? You got somebody that wants to come up and make a comment on it, or sure? You live within 250 feet? Where do you live? A mile and a half?
I live in Sycamores.
How far is that?
Close to 45.
About a mile and a half. No, I'd rather hear it right now. Yeah, it's okay, but I mean, I want to know, is there anybody that lives close to this that wants us? Well, come here. Come on up.
What'd she say? Right next to it.
I live right on the other side of the berm where they're going to build it.
What's that?
I live right on the other side of the berm where the building's going to be.
Your name?
And what? Yeah. What's your name, please?
Ann Panicola.
She didn't get it.
Ann Panicola, Panicola. I will hear everything going on.
Do you
I
have
will
a
hear
fa-
the trucks. I will hear the 1994 Crenshaw.
Do you have a famous son?
A famous son?
Yeah.
Like who?
I don't know. Some guy on the radio. I thought you
Not
said.
that I'm aware
I
of.
thought you said Banicola.
P as in Peter.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah,
apologize.
right,
All
right. So I will hear the trucks coming and going. I will hear the
Right.
deliveries. I will hear the horns. I will hear the traffic. I will hear I will hear everything.
So which unit are you?
I'm right there at the berm, 1994,
Okay.
right on the berm.
So you didn't think anything was ever going to be built there?
No, but I didn't think it was going to be a big store.
What did
Something
you
nice.
see? You see what's across the street?
What's that, Lowe's?
Well, Mariano's.
Mariano's, yes, but there's a big pond that separates them from the homes. There's not that pond that we have. We're right there, boom. I'm going to hear everything.
Are you the first home? Is this,
Yes.
you're the first owner?
Yes, first
Okay.
owner. I've been there for
So
9 years.
nobody told you that this might happen, as
I
far as something?
expected something to be there, but not a big box store with a lot of traffic, a lot of trucks delivering things, a lot of noise. That's not what I expected.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Richard Gross, and I live in 1966 Crenshaw, which is directly at the point of the setback, all the way in the corner. So I will be hearing everything as well. Can't hear? Okay. Now, this is good. How's that? Is that better? There are several concerns. A, the noise level. To have trucks in the back up to 10 o'clock at night is a little ridiculous. Usually after 7 o'clock, everybody lays down and settles in for the evening. Why do you want to disrupt us? That's number one. Number two, Joe spoke about a 14-foot high fence, which begins at the bottom, okay? We're on the second floor. 6 feet from the top of the burn will not block the building or what's going on there from us. As far as the landscaping goes, in the wintertime, right now there's beautiful trees in the back, they bloom, everything's great. In the wintertime, they're bare. We can see the Chase building. So if they're going to put landscaping, that's not going to be set all year long, what good is it for 3 or 4 months? Then that means all winter long, we're still going to have to view that building. We're going to have to look at the trucks. We're going to have to see everything. The other point is there any possibility that you can just move? I mean, if it's going to be passed, which I hope not, but if it's going to be, can't we shift it down towards the entrance rather than all the way back in the corner? I mean, you have all that property up front. Why can't you just shift everything down where there's really no homes down there? You have us on the Vernon Hill side, and you have the Libertyville homes as well. And we're right there in the corner. We're going to be disrupted. Not to talk about our property values. We moved in 6 months ago. Okay? So, when you talk about this Menards and you talk about our property values, I think it's like a railroad, having a railroad in back. Values are less than the rest of the homes in the area.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Yep.
Good evening, everybody. I am Joan Sheldon. I'm at Libertyville Ridge, 1203 Briarwood. And
I'm Sue Brewitt. I live at 1261 Briarwood in Libertyville. We are town owners that are adjacent to the property. My back patio at my address is 23 feet to the property line, and the building will be another only 30 feet.
the fence will be 32 feet.
When our townhomes were built in the 70s, there was no development promise. And so, of course, we recognize and understand that Vernon Hills is making the development and approving it. I just think we are a community of retirees. We are a community of small children that back up to that property, that have families and pets, like the other townhomes do. And we will be very highly impacted, not only from the noise, but of course, the entire lifestyle situation.
If you came to our house, we're asking, if you went to Sue's house,
61.
Yeah, 1261, and look at the closeness of this. There is no pond there. We have the water problem. One of the big water problems for all you board members is Butterfield Road, the water rushes down, rushes through Greg's Landing. There's a pond there. When it rains heavily, it goes over that berm and into our property as it is. When you add a wall and a fence there, they say that they're going to put that runoff into the pond, but we're still going to get water on us. So when our homes get even more water, who is going to be responsible for that? That is a concern. Number two, the way you have the trucks. I do want to address, because I was at the other meetings, and I brought it up when I spoke to the last meeting. You have the semis coming off of Milwaukee Avenue. You know how many accidents are at Jewel now on Milwaukee Avenue. That is a terrible intersection just at Jewel. They specifically said at the last meeting there would not be a stoplight there, only a stoplight at Mariano's. Can you imagine 18-wheelers turning left into Menards? Imagine it if you guys, because you can only see the greenery there, if you're coming off by Starbucks and say that was Menards, a semi coming off of Starbucks, turning right and going around Mariano's and then unloading, this is the situation that is being caused here. The trucks are going through the front parking lot, around through the parking spaces of 382, 400, where cars come out, kids get in cars, people, everything is all right there. The trucks are combined with. I, off the cuff, talked to 2 Vernon Hills police officers, and it's like you shouldn't mix semis with people. And this is what you have done. The truck traffic is coming off Milwaukee Avenue, turning to the right, and coming up right along our townhomes there. Right at the fence line where our bedrooms are, they will be there, 10 to 12 trucks a day. They said from 7:30 to 10 o'clock at night. And if a truck gets there at 9:58, they will unload it and it'll leave about 10:30. That's a lot of noise. They said that they can't idle the whole time. I don't know what, with the Clean Air Act, there's different, they can't, only 10 minutes can they idle to at between 32 degrees and 80 degrees. I don't know what impact that is of the village.
3 minutes.
Okay, it said 10 minutes on the web. I don't know what it is, but that just concerns. We're going to get all the fumes. We know that the winds blow southwest. So at Sue's property and those 12 homes that are right there, I mean, they are 23 feet to the lot line and 32 feet to the 14-foot fence.
I mean, I feel like there might be an opportunity for you as community members, if you were having this built in your immediate backyard, which is what it is, 23 feet, I would recognize that that might be a pretty short distance for some of you, especially with young children in the area that attend the schools. I'm concerned about that. And I'm also concerned about the fact that when Cheif built, they moved their building away from the residents. They put it up front on the property. So the only thing that's there that's adjacent to our development is the parking lot. And the parking lot is only used, of course, when the bank is open. So they were gracious enough to coordinate their building efforts and cooperate with those residents that are adjacent.
Is there an ordinance for, as you guys discuss things, for the times of the truck deliveries? Or will there be fines against Menards? Was one question that came up on May 28th. Will that happen? Another thing I'd like you to consider, I mean, we know that there was a building going on there, and I accept that there's going to be a building there, but not it's, Menard says 2 stories, I get it, but it's really 4 stories because each floor is 20 feet. So that's a huge building that's placed all the way back to that back corner. And the trucks come through your parking lot. So if you looked at your site plan, because you don't have the site plan here, but we had it up on May 28th. Is there any way possible that, I understand, like at Menards it gets crazy, because not Menards, Mariano's, because the cars come through and they use the truck lanes. Is there any way possible you might look at that site plan and have the trucks come off of Arteas, Greg's Landing, whatever that's called right there, just to Menards, but not have a driveway from your parking lot back to the back lot along your greenhouse? So there weren't any cars going there behind. It would only be trucks. You don't have a parking lot back there.
Thanks.
Oh, thank you very much. So, so if they're coming off Greg's Landing over, why couldn't you have enough green space there? And the cars are coming 2/3 of the way to the building anyways they're coming across 2/3 of the building anyways to unload and deliver. Then you're having these trucks back up and come back out this entrance here where all the other cars are. Also, my other concern, because I'm a safety, I've taught 40 years at Hawthorne. I've taught many of your kids, and Vernon Hills is my life, okay? 40 years and I'm still teaching. And I'm concerned about our kids. I'm concerned about a lot of things, but I love Vernon Hills. Vernon Hills is in my heart, you guys. 40 years of teaching in your district is a lot. But I'm concerned about the safety. And you look here when you've got another point I want to bring up is when they come into inside, that's fine. 2 cars in, that's great. Inside, lumber. But when they exit, they have to make an S right where the semis are coming in to do their loading or unloading or backing up. So I just wish you would consider having the trucks not come off Milwaukee Avenue, but come here. It would be a lot quieter. You've got the retention pond here, and not all of this over by where all the homes are. If you could discuss that, I would also greatly appreciate that. But I thank you for your consideration and listening to us.
Sure.
Thank you.
Trustee Cook?
Just before you, I met with Ms. Sheldon earlier today, and one of the things I was looking at, if your association is interested, if this goes forward, if we could work out a way to get some of the landscaping actually put on your property, because that swale is there, and the improvements to that swale are gonna help create a better flow there. Would your association be interested in any additional landscaping? It would probably have to be on association property, in terms of like spruces or evergreens or something like that, if we can work that out with the developer.
If I might,
gotta come back to the mic.
We're sorry.
You have to come back up.
It's televised, and you have to speak into a mic. I'm sorry.
Forgot. Our property is, at the south end of the Libertyville Ridge property, there's only 23 feet.
Yeah, I know, you're on short setbacks.
Well, and I would think, in the spirit of good neighbors, that there should be some modification. That's my opinion. But we can't give any more of our property to landscaping, although it would, I'm sure, cut down on the noise. But that's not gonna, that's just infringing more on us. So that to us isn't acceptable, but I think some modifications would be really appreciated by the Menards company.
Okay.
Or by the village.
Well, and the reality is that, anybody that lives not only as close as you, but any of the other houses there, I mean, the landscaping is going to be critical. I know there's an upcoming meeting on that, and quite frankly, there's going to have to be trees that are green all year, which are probably pine trees or some kind of, arbor vitas, and because you're always going to see this building. And, just for the record, and I'll poll the board real quick. Is there anybody sitting up here on this board that isn't going to approve the Menards?
I got a couple of concerns.
All right, you got concerns, okay. But I mean, in reality,
Work out.
If I might-
as far as the landscaping, we're going to address it. And there's been numerous public hearings on this, and,
I'm not opposed to the development of this. If this is what you think the village wants to do, this is something that you've decided that you're going to approve. That's not for us to determine. We were just wanting some consideration being made to the neighborhoods. And I think that's valid. We are people that have lived there for many years. We are people that work in your community, that have contributed ourselves to your community. And I also feel like our children have some value. Growing up in an environment when that building is that close, I would think that maybe some cooperation could be requested or encouraged. We can't, of course, demand, but it would be really nice if we worked together and say, modify, get a representative from those places and just sit down one-on-one instead of a big meeting.
And we did some of that. In fact,
Sure.
that's the whole reason that
Sure.
the first drawing they came to us, the lumber yard was going to be right up against your property.
Right.
And they have, at our request, flipped that because of exactly what you're talking about. They flipped it and put it on the building, and the
Right.
nearest building over in your place is about 150 feet from the actual building now, and would have only been 55 or 60 feet. So
Yep.
I understand where you're coming from, and really want to try and, that was why I asked the question about
I just
the
think
landscaping and why I met with
you as
Ms.
village
Sheldon
board
this morning.
members have a responsibility to, maybe accommodate some of the important issues. Thanks so much for your time.
And I had a question for staff, because the truck thing has come up a couple of times. The document that I have in front of me talks about as one of the concerns that Menards they're going to try and limit truck deliveries to 7:30 a.m. to 8 p.m., not the 10.
That's correct. That was a condition of approval that was made by the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Okay, yeah, and I just wanted to clarify that we have pushed that back to 8 p.m. as opposed to the 10 p.m. because of exactly that problem.
And if I may add too, Tom, is that, Joan, we had a situation for the road. There was a road that went straight out to Greg's Landing. So there was in the original plan a road that went out there. Due to the residents, that ended up, that road was cut. And we moved it. So there was originally in the plan a road that went out to Greg's Landing, and it has been cut.
My concern is the traffic. I apologize, sir. I'm the teacher. I just stand up in front of the class and shout. Okay? I don't have microphones. You don't need it with my voice. I bellow. Okay. I'm concerned with the traffic also you're getting all those trucks coming in on Milwaukee Avenue, not on Greg's Parkway. And so you've got the truck traffic, and I said, if you just picture pulling into Starbucks in an 18-wheeler, come to the stop sign, because then you've got that long curb, which is on your diagram too, so they're not going to go straight. Cars aren't going to cut through there. That's the same thing at Lowe's. I was kind of examining it today. And then turning right, going around Mariano's, they will unload, back up, and then come back out through traffic. So you're mixing trucks with car traffic. And that really concerns me with all my students and everything around here. Secondly, at 5:30 last night, I was over at Mariano's, and the traffic on Greg's Parkway was backed up going west, like it always is. So when you put a stoplight up there, board, will it be synchronized to Milwaukee Avenue? Because the cars were stopped all the way to Milwaukee Avenue. And if that's not synchronized, and the cars turning left coming on Lakeview, you're going to have even a worse mess. So that was just something else that I noticed today. But picture yourself at Starbucks on an 18-wheeler and coming through the parking lot. This is what you have created by not having that road in the back. Stand at Starbucks and look at the 18-wheeler coming through the Mariano's parking lot, going up, turning left, unloading, backing up, coming back out, and through the cars again. You're creating a nightmare.
Going to go around the parking lot. If you'll notice but
it's the same as going through Mariano's, and you still get
right, but that
respectfully.
It's what they call a canoe, that large barrier.
Right, I was just talking about that because I looked at it at Lowe's today. You have that same canoe at the Lowe's parking lot when you end at the stop sign at Starbucks before you turn right. So that same canoe is there. I understand what you are saying, Mr. Cook, but still, it's a lot of trucks and cars through there. And that other road, you're only adding it on 1/3 because you've already got 2/3 for the behind the building right now for unloading. And if only trucks were through there and not I understand you don't want the road because I know what cars do. I could be guilty. Mariano's go through the side and the back.
The residents didn't want the road.
Yeah, that would have been right behind the Bay Hill residents.
Okay, but they're a little farther set back than we are at our 52 feet, which is no farther than from this wall to this post when I walked it off the last meeting. That's how far we are, and that's it. So I just would like you to consider that. Thank you very much. To the fence, no, 23 feet to our property line, 32 feet to the fence where the trucks will be parked to wait to unload, sir. 23 feet and plus 32 feet, and there's your fence, and that's where the semis will be. So that's 55 feet. That's all we have. And there's a semi. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John.
May I real quick, since Libertyville residents are here, there has been a spirit of cooperation between our board and your association. I know when Bay Hill was being built right next door, the trees that are on your adjacent to your property that provide that screening are actually on Bay Hill property. The original plan for the contractor was to go through, remove the trees, and put in the water main across their property. We knew it was important to you. So with our village board's assistance, we ended up working with your association to make sure that those trees remained. We had them auger underneath it because we know that the landscaping does have value. So we are trying to protect and be good neighbors with you. So just wanted to add that.
Yes. Are you within 250 feet?
Yeah, real close.
That's good.
Thank you. My name is Julie Sneller, and I live at 1910 Crenshaw, so I am within about 200 feet or less. I share all the sentiments that we've heard tonight from my fellow neighbors regarding concerns around noise and disruption and traffic and safety. I'm an original owner, so I've been there, I guess, now about 9 years. And I was well aware that there would be building there. What we were not told was that it would be, a 2-story big box development. We did understand there would be retail, but not to the extent that it is. And I'm surprised, I guess, tonight to learn that so many of you on the board support a Menards. And I would ask you to perhaps reconsider. I think it's a really bad decision. My concerns, as well as everything we've shared tonight, in addition to that, are financial. I think it's not wise to build a competitor right across the street. We have Home Depot within a mile. We have Lowe's across the street. Now we're going to have Menards. I don't believe that we can support 3 big box home construction places. So my concern is that one or the other, Lowe's or Menards, will go out of business shortly, and now we've got an empty retail spot of massive proportion that is even worse, perhaps empty, than causing all the noise. So I just think it's a really bad idea, and I think it would behoove all of the board members and the village of both Vernon Hills and Libertyville to consider alternate plans. We would support development, but perhaps something that adds value. Another one of these doesn't add any value to any resident in the area, with two others to choose from, and a Menards not far away now either. We don't need another one. So it doesn't add any value. It destroys home properties, all the concerns of noise and safety. And I think we're going to be looking at an empty building, one or the other, which won't serve all the other retail folks there or others that might be interested. So I think if we could consider something that would add value, that would be wise.
You know, and yeah, and I think we all lived through the actual recession.
Now you're being rude. I'm
Well,
sorry.
That's
now
all,
you're
that's
being
okay.
rude.
You know, I mean, I think we're coming out of the recession, but a lot of people would probably say we aren't. But with that said, I mean, we as a community in this board, you know, we strived to actually fill any number of anchor stores throughout this community, which is critical to operating this community. Do you understand how important the retail segment is to this town?
Certainly, and
And you
like
realize
doing
we
it at the
don't
mall.
tax your home.
Right.
The community doesn't tax your home. You understand that?
Yeah,
The
and
municip-
I think what we've done at the mall is terrific.
Okay,
And
but-
applaud
but,
that development.
You know, I guess.
That adds value.
I guess the
But the
importance.
mall was going to destroy home values. I was at the meetings in the 70s when the mall was going to destroy home values, when my father's home was about $25,000.
If there was a mall
And-
across the street from the mall.
No, it was
I
going to
get
destroy
that.
the home values where I lived,
Right.
and it didn't.
Because
just
it was
didn't.
one of a kind, and it was needed in the area. It's not a triplicate of something that already exists. I mean, we have a Menards on 60.
Right, okay. Hey, you know what?
I have one last
You know, I
question.
asked the question up front, you guys answered honestly and said you don't want the Menards. So at this point in time, I'm getting ready to call this for a vote and to see how the board stands. Okay? You know, yeah, I mean, you want to be, I'll be honest with you, I think I got a good idea. Oh, no. Well, yep, how many, okay, I'm going to let about 5 more people speak on this because it's going to get repetitive.
It's already.
What's that?
Nothing has been repeated yet, and I think additional
Nothing
input
yet.
would be
Okay.
valuable. May
All
I
right.
ask, did Lowe's have a non-compete agreement? Or how does Lowe's feel about this? I mean, we approve.
No, it's free enterprise, to be blunt with you.
Actually,
it's
our
free
expert,
enterprise.
Melanophy, and to give you a little background, Melanophy came to us roughly 2 years before the Kmart closed and told us they figured within a year and a half, 2 years, the Kmart was going to close. And so we were able to line up some people so that when the Kmart did close, almost right to the time that Melanophy told us, we were able to redevelop it very quickly. And Melanophy, because I had the same concern you did about building this close. And the only 2 things I can point to on it are, everybody told Dave Thomas he was nuts when he built Wendy's close to McDonald's. The other thing is Melanophy told us that their study was that our base in this whole area, the Tri-Village area, and that can support the third one, and in fact that it will benefit probably all three of them in the long run. And all I can tell you is Mendards has had and I trust them because they've had a great track record of giving us advice that has been right on the money for in the neighborhood of 20 years.
Did they predict Jewel and Dominic's both closing with Menards?
Yeah, they told us Dominic's, oh yeah, long before they did.
That we couldn't support 3 grocery stores and everyone eats 3 times a day, but we
that's
can
not
support
the real
3
reason.
hardware stores?
That's not the real reason Dominic's closed, but we tried to offer Dominic's a brand new place in town as well. But yeah, Mendards told us long before Dominic's closed they were in trouble. Yeah.
Because we can't support 3 in close proximity, and that's something
No,
that we do every
that's
day.
not the problem, but
Well, I invite others to please speak.
Let's hear from the doctor. And your distance is within 500 feet?
It's a walk with the dog.
Okay.
Hi, I'm David Oppenheim. I live at 1584 in Greg's Landing on Hague Point Lane. I'll try this one.
straight up.
This work? No.
Got push.
Push the button straight up.
Sir, it just has on. Is there a speak button? Yeah. Yeah. Okay, can you hear me now? Hi, I'm David Oppenheim. I live at 1584 Hague Point Lane in Vernon Hills. I've been a resident since 2001 of Vernon Hills, and I love this town. I love everything about it. I love the people. I love the buildings. I love the schools. Special shout out to Mr. Cook. My daughter had your class last year, and you were one of her favorite teachers.
Does that mean you love what the board's done in town?
I do. I love what the board is, and I was going to say that. I love what you have done in town. I love driving down Route 60 with all the setbacks.
High school.
I love the VHAC that you are responsible for.
Okay, there's some positive things we've done.
There's a ton of positive things.
Okay.
A ton of positive things. Now, you may remember I was involved in the Walmart fight. Some of you may remember that. I set up a website and a committee.
When my wife agreed with you, that was it.
Right. Had I known that, I would have just called her first and saved a lot of time and expense. All I had to do was call Mrs. Byrne. But you know I was involved in that, and it didn't take too much effort to get people coming out of the woodwork, to use your quote from one of the earlier meetings for this. And so I love the town, and I appreciated how you supported my efforts in terms of preventing Walmart, which is a similar kind of concept. It was probably worse in that it was a 24-hour store, but it was a massive operation, which is very similar to this. This is 250,000 approximately square feet of retail space, a 2-story, 40-foot building. This is a building that's set on 18 acres of land, according to what it said in the newspaper. I think that's correct. But my feeling is that this type of project isn't appropriate. Now, to get to your earlier point, which you've raised numerous times, in that this is zoned for B1, that's not the whole story. There are lots of things regarding zoning. It's not just the B1. This is a PUD, which has special restrictions. This has covenants for the actual property. So it's not just the B1 designation. So I wanted to go through a couple of these for the audience's benefit as well. So first of all, since this is a PUD, section 20.5 of standards says 20.51, comprehensive plan. A planned unit development must conform with the intent and spirit of the proposals of the village comprehensive plan. In addition, 20.5.3, compatibility. The uses permitted in a PUD must be of a type and so located so as to exercise no undue detrimental influence upon surrounding properties. 20.6.5, the relationship and compatibility, beneficials or adverse, of the proposed plan to the adjacent properties and neighborhood, the desirability of the proposed plan, and the Planning and Zoning Commission must demonstrate conformity with the intent and spirit of this comprehensive plan. So your comprehensive plan, as of 2012, when you updated it most recently, includes the design concepts that were presented by Rolf Campbell's group in 2007 when we had all those meetings in 2005. Within those meetings, we discussed lots of things. First of all were the objectives that they said in their notes. And I wasn't going to read all of these, but I ended up asterisking almost all of them because they apply. So based on the planning process, as summarized in the following section, the objectives of these guidelines are, A, to promote retail development that will enhance and strengthen the character of the village as a whole, and Greg's Landing in particular. Skip to C, to create a greater sense of place by advocating unifying, unique, and aesthetically pleasing architectural and landscape design. D, to promote safety within the commercial site by encouraging pedestrian-friendly and bike-friendly site plans and discouraging vehicular cut-through traffic. E, to draw new businesses by building an attractive and inviting shopping environment that will also offer flexibility for creative design within the guidelines. F, to increase the tax base of the village, which we understand, while simultaneously, and I underline that, providing a larger, more varied shopping opportunity to residents. G, to provide an opportunity to the residents to shape development within their community and ensure the high standard and quality of life that is the trademark of the village. H, to encourage creative transitional buffering and screening alternatives between the retail development and the residential development to the west, including attractive building facade on all sides. So those were some of the guidelines that they discussed. They talked about setbacks with minimum setbacks. Then here's one point which is important. They talk about outside storage. Now, as I recall from listening to the planning and zoning meeting, not all of the storage is going to be inside the warehouse, as I understand, and you can ask the petitioner if this is correct, that they have intention of storing some items right beyond that 14-foot fence. Can I ask him directly now, or I ask you to ask him, or we can do that later on? I'm sorry? Do you know the answer? Oh, I wasn't sure. I thought that was, but someone said something different. So is that?
No, it didn't say anything different.
It
It said, no, don't ask the.
Oh, don't ask. No. But he asked me the question, if that was different. Okay. So outside storage. So within these plans, it says outside storage is strongly discouraged. All storage of materials, equipment, and commercial vehicles should be within the building or an approved structure. So as I heard from the meeting, there were certain items that won't fit within the main building or the warehouse, but they were going to be outside. And some of those items included things such as railroad ties, culverts, and cattle gates. It's been a while since I've looked for a cattle gate or a culvert, but it doesn't seem like that's something that residents in the community near or far are going to be looking for. Another item they talk about is 360-degree design treatment. Any building on the site should be a four-sided building where all sides have aesthetically pleasing, well-designed facades and have the color, texture, and material variation that is normally given only to front facades. This 360-degree design treatment will ensure a pleasing view of the commercial development from the residential side, as well as Milwaukee and Greg's Parkway frontages. If you don't have the plans up there, but as I understand it, the north side did not look anything like the south or the east sides. The west side perhaps, but nowhere near it. The other thing is they have stairs on the outside of a building. I don't know of any other building.
It's already been addressed, but go ahead.
Was it addressed tonight?
Oh, not yet. About a week ago now. We've had other meetings with them.
Right.
Where
you're getting rid of that. You're getting rid of that.
Where the residents have concerns, and it's come up, and then we go through technical review like we did with Lowe's.
But
did Lowe's turn out okay?
Lowe's did turn out okay.
Okay. Did Mariano's turn out okay? We're not sure.
I thank you for Mariano's. I
Well,
I
yes,
feel,
and
but hold on a second.
I appreciate that, thanks, because
we
knew that Dominic's was going out 10 years ago.
Right, but
what Dad said, where are you going with this, other than
my point is,
Yeah.
my point is that in order to to have a PUD, you have to meet the comprehensive use plan needs, which this doesn't. But in addition, there's something even more important. But I want to get it back to the Mariano's thing, since you brought it up. I really do appreciate that Mariano's is there, and I take a very small piece of credit for it as well, because I, in addition to your wife, of course, prevented Super Walmart from coming in. And I feel somewhat confident that had Super Walmart come in across the way, Mariano's might not be
So
there.
you're hopeful that maybe this filibuster will kill Menards?
I am hopeful to that effect.
Wow.
Hold on a second. But I think, and I don't consider this quite a filibuster just yet. I've got 23 hours to speak before it becomes that.
This is,
That's not going to happen.
this isn't U.S. Senate. Come on.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right.
So,
Do you want me to go into my filibuster about how important it is that we have
No. And
$20 million reserve and we can do many things in this town to improve the neighborhoods? And we've never gone to a referendum for anything in this town, other than the high school, which I'm happy that occurred. That took 5, but that's because people in Libertyville didn't want it.
Okay.
But I'm done with that.
But, okay, so I appreciate that, and I understand we need
Right,
to,
but I mean,
we need to increase our tax base.
Our solvency is been very important to the community. If you really have a problem in your neighborhood with infrastructure, and we can do the repairs, and when we come through your neighborhood, we're not asking you to go to referendum to rebuild your streets, your curbs, your gutters, your sidewalks. You understand it?
I understand that
Okay.
completely.
But that's partly because of the revenue stream that comes in.
And I thank you for that, and I
Okay,
appreciate
but
that,
I
and I
know you
started my
just-
comment.
well, you simply
My
don't want-
point is,
Everybody in here simply doesn't want this in their backyard.
no, that's.
Well, it's obvious.
It's not just that we don't want anything in our backyard. The point is, this is a monstrosity.
Okay, I just
250,000
wanna know how you
two-story
really
building.
feel.
Well, that's how I really feel.
Okay, it's a monstrosity.
It is a monstrosity.
All right, well, I appreciate that.
So back to your point about the tax base, I understand something needs to go in. We've always understood something would go in. We were told something would go in.
Right.
Now, when I was buying the home, they told me the land is very expensive, and we understand it's probably going to be a nice hotel. That's what they told me. I didn't get a special document that you brought up.
No.
I would love a nice hotel if it brought in money. That'd be great.
That'd be 7 stories.
And I understand, I was at some of those earlier meetings, and I know that we looked at some of the possibilities, and some of them were
So
discussed
you wouldn't
here.
mind a hotel and kind of a banquet convention center?
I would love that.
Really?
Yeah.
Right there?
Right there.
7 stories too, if I'm correct.
But you understand.
You would like something 6, 7 stories high there?
I honestly think that would be better than having 12 trucks a day cutting through with noise and everything else.
Well, wouldn't they make
And-
deliveries to the hotel?
Yeah, but 12 semis?
I don't know.
No,
You
they
know?
don't.
No?
They don't make 12 semi-runs a day. But there are pretty nice hotels out there. And you can make something that's really pleasing, that when someone's coming down Milwaukee Avenue and they see Vernon Hills for the first time, they're not seeing a giant big box store. Now, it's not that I'm against big box stores. Like I said at an earlier meeting, if my wife were at Target anymore, they'd have to pay her benefits. So we're there a lot, and we use big box stores.
And I remember catching you shopping at Walmart a couple of times.
Did you? You might have.
No, because I was probably there too.
Yeah, you must have been there a lot, because I haven't been there very often.
I know it's been a while.
But-
You know, I've gotten a
So-
lot older.
Okay, so let me advance to something that's probably even more important in this discussion, and that is the covenants of the property. I know it was brought up by my next door neighbor, and I actually gave him this information, but I don't think it was given. The due evaluation. And I'll read for the benefit of the audience once again. The covenants of this.
Direct your benefit to us.
I'm sorry. Well, you are the one. Right.
To them.
Okay.
Please
So
talk.
okay, I apologize for that.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. The covenant of the property of Cuneo North Commercial Property, Section B, Use and Development. The Cuneo North Commercial Property shall not be developed or used for any purpose other than office, hotel, and retail commercial uses. Now, the definition of retail commercial, and this is where it's critical, the sale of products recreation, or services directly to ultimate consumers, but specifically excluding, without limitation, all warehouse and wholesale uses and operations. It doesn't say specifically excluding except for retail warehouses. It says specifically excluding, without limitation, all warehouse and wholesale uses and operations. And we brought that up, and someone immediately said, well, this is a retail warehouse, and it's not
Would you
wholesale.
call this a retail store?
It doesn't matter. It's a warehouse. They
Oh, you
define it as
call
a
it a
warehouse.
warehouse. Oh.
It's a warehouse.
Okay.
It's a
well,
warehouse.
okay. All right.
And in every site plan in 10 different
Hey,
meetings.
Dak, you
So,
know,
yes.
do you think that's...
Is Mariano's a warehouse?
Do you think this was...
It's a big building.
No, it's not.
Well, what's the difference?
It's not.
I don't,
So,
sorry, I don't.
okay, since,
Well, Sam's Club's a warehouse too,
right,
right?
and that is the exact
Really?
type of use that was excluded for this property, and that's why they
Yeah,
came up
come
with that in the covenants.
Also
That,
realize,
you know-
excuse me, you also realize
Yes.
that anything can be brought in and asked for a special use.
This is...
I understand that
I
anything
just
can
would
be
make sure
asked
you do.
for a special use.
This
That doesn't mean it
this
should be
isn't the
granted.
case. I mean, the reality
So-
is...
It's not the case.
You know, the definition you're using there, Dak, is not something that would be supported by a judge.
Well, I take
You know.
exception to that,
Well,
and
you know,
can I present you with that?
Well, do you want to go forward with that?
I don't know. I'm
I don't
hoping
know.
that you'll
Ask your
understand.
fellow resident.
I'm hoping that you'll understand and,
Yeah.
and see it my way. I met with a zoning attorney from Chicago, and I got a letter that I will present to you, and it was signed by, supported by many of the residents who
Yeah,
live right
okay.
behind. And I'll just read the last comments that they said. They include the definition, and they underlined, but specifically excluding without limitation all warehouse uses. Pursuant to the plan, an application presented to the Village of Vernon Hills Committee of the Whole and currently pending before the Village's Zoning Board of Appeals, he has it a little bit backwards, the proposed Menards store is a warehouse use and/or operation. As such, erection of the Menards is specifically barred at the proposed location, and approval as such should therefore be denied as a matter of law. In light of the foregoing, we respectfully request that the village and its zoning board of appeals deny the pending application in this regard and/or delay final resolution to allow the respective parties the opportunity to discuss the matter collectively.
Let me
Sign.
just
Yes.
respectfully disagree with you. According to Merriam-Webster's dictionary, a warehouse is a large building where raw materials or manufactured goods may be stored before their export for distribution for sale. In other words, that's a warehouse. It is stored there and then sent to a place where the retail.
Like a Menards.
Are you
I'm sorry, let me
disputing-
finish. Let me
Menards
finish.
would sell it.
Roger, please. They are stored there and they're exported to a place for retail sales. I'm just going by what the dictionary says of a warehouse.
Well, I'm going by what the site plan says, and the site plan says it's
No,
a warehouse.
I'm going by what a
Now,
warehouse is not for retail sales. A warehouse is for wholesale distribution.
Right, but the point is,
But that's what, I'm just telling you, I was here when that was created, and what we were talking about was a wholesale warehouse for wholesale distribution, which is what
Well-
the definition of, according to, I just looked it up, what a warehouse is.
well, I respectfully would suggest
Well,
that,
Then the
I would-
Walmart.
We have some real warehouse operations in town. One's
You're right.
I
CDW.
understand
And
that.
also American Hotel Register.
I-
Those are unbelievable warehouse
But he's just talking about the
operators.
covenants of this land.
right,
Right,
and
right.
I mean, those
Hey,
are real warehouses,
did you
but this
pay-
is a warehouse
Did
too.
that attorney
Yes.
do that pro bono?
Does it matter?
Roger,
Well-
just let him.
The point,
Okay.
okay, first of all, the Walmart isn't a warehouse. We could have put the
Yeah, yeah,
Walmart
yeah.
there. We didn't want the
And
Walmart.
I appreciate that.
And if we do something that we could be sued for, then it would take all the money in our village that we have in our coffers to try to stop the lawsuit or have to go against that lawsuit. We could be sued.
You can be
This whole
sued.
definition of the
Absolutely.
warehouse and you saying,
You certainly could be
could
sued
be sued
by
by both
Menards.
sides.
I would hopefully
Okay.
respect and
Okay. So
respectfully
in
hope that
essence-
they won't do that.
Can I interpret your statements to mean like a veiled threat that you're thinking about a lawsuit from the neighborhood? No, seriously.
I'm not suggesting that we're planning on suing you or Menards. What I'm suggesting is that if you go forward with approving this special use PUD, you are in violation of the covenants which you were holding us to when you said that we weren't paying attention to the fact that this was business zoned all along. You're not paying attention to what...
But I respectfully disagree with you. I totally interpret that a completely different way.
The warehouse.
Based on the definition of a warehouse. I think your definition of a warehouse.
There are numerous definitions of warehouse. If you look on other websites. But the point is, it says, but specifically excluding without limitation.
Can you move forward,
Without
please?
limitation.
His time has been up a long time ago.
Right. You know, with that said, again, okay, is there anybody else that lives within 250 feet of this that wants to speak
This
to
gentleman's
this?
wanted to speak for a while.
Okay. Wait. Let's have this guy, this gentleman
He's been trying
here.
to speak all night.
Yeah, all right.
Come on, sir.
Yeah, there's numerous.
Hey, Doc, you want to yield to this guy?
I'll yield if...
This is a
You give him 3 minutes?
trustee Cook.
And then put your thing on.
Trustee Cook.
Can you just state your name and your address?
Al Uzumka. I live in
Please speak in the
376 Sycamore Street.
You have to hold the mic a little closer.
Thank you.
Excuse me, I didn't hear a thing you said. Hold the mic a little closer.
Al Uzumka, 376 Sycamore Street, Vernon Hills, Illinois. I'm
Thank
a
you.
resident for the past 16 years, one of the very few that's been in Greg's Landing since 1990.
I've lived here since 77, but that's
Okay,
great.
you beat
Thank
me
you.
to it. That's great. Trustee Cook, this is a lumberyard. It's not a retail store. In the meeting, we noted there were 14 trucks, semi-trucks, coming every single day, unload. There's going to be 40 to 50 contractors coming in every single day. And these people are going to live around. This is not right. When you're selling to a contractor, you're not a retail operation. This is a warehouse. My message is not to you guys, your trustees and administrators. My message is to Menard. This is all about Menard. This is all about Bradford. As you said, Mayor Byrne, Bradford is going to sell this property for $40 million, and they want $40 million. Menard's going to come in and put a $12 million, 1,500 residents. We put in over $1 billion into this development. Billion. We're going to lose our property value. Why? This is about 2 or 3 weeks ago, coming from Mariano's. Traffic is whizzing by on Greg's Parkway. There's a family trying to cross the street with 3 kids. Mother and the father are holding their hands, shivering. I stop my car. They thank me, and they are upset crossing the street. This is not enhancing the living standards or life in Vernon Hills. You're destroying it by bringing Menards in.
We have 6,000 cars with our house, and they have 8. Look at the bottom.
Look at this.
Oh, I'm not going there. Okay.
Give it back, that's his.
Yeah, I got it.
My name is Teresa Trifoletti. I own a unit at 1953 North Crenshaw Circle. It is directly across the street from the back of this store. There's been a lot of talk about safety, and I would like to say it was possibly me crossing that street the other day, because I have been in this community since the construction of Bay Tree. And my kids love Century Park. They love going to Big Bear Lake. They love going to Lake Charles. And we always have to cross Greg's Parkway. I cannot tell you the number of times cars will not stop for me and my kids when we are crossing that road. And now you want to put in a traffic light, which will then back up the cars even more. there's going to be more traffic coming down Greg's. There was one time in particular, 2 years ago, I was crossing Greg's Parkway. I was in the middle of the road, and I couldn't wait any longer because standing in the middle of that road, I think is more dangerous than trying to cross. And a car came so close to me and my children, I slapped it on the hood. I want to buy a stop sign so that when I'm crossing the road, I can hold up the stop sign for my kids to cross safely. This is one of the things that I cannot sit here and have you with your hands up behind your head looking at me like you don't care what I'm talking about.
Oh, my God.
You don't care what I'm saying. It means a lot to me. It means a lot to the people that live here. And I cannot believe that you can sit there and tell us that this store will benefit Lowe's and Home Depot at the expense of the community. That is what is more important to you than to all of us sitting here talking to you today. You basically sat here and told us that you're going to take this to a vote and it's going to be passed, that this is a big waste of time. And if that's true, then why do we continue to live in Vernon Hills? And why should we continue to vote for all of you sitting here?
You won't be voting for me. I'm not running again.
Well, you know,
The one thing about that, it's not like this is the first meeting, just to clarify one part of that. The Planning and Zoning Commission voted 6-0 to recommend this. And so it's come up through a long, rather lengthy process, and it's not done yet.
And the first letter I received regarding the zoning commission was right before that March 28th meeting, and that's why I came to that, or I'm sorry, May 28th meeting. That's why I came to that meeting. Before that, I had never even heard that.
We've had several meetings here about it already.
I never received a letter.
There've been.
It's been on TV.
What would you say, John? 8 or 10 or 12, three major public.
Regardless.
Yeah. 3 major.
Owning in Bay Hill.
Yeah. This is, I think, the 4th major public meeting.
You have children, right?
Yes, I have 2.
Do you think anybody up here has children?
Yes,
Do we
but
raise our
do
children
you
in
live in
town?
Bay Hill?
I live in Deer Path.
Okay, so you don't have to cross Greg's Parkway.
We have to cross Deer Path, which has as much traffic as you have on
Yeah,
Greg's Parkway.
And you have no big box store in your backyard there.
But
Okay.
But that's
Five of 7 of us.
I don't think
live
that's
on-
quite
on
the
some
same.
Wait a
major
second.
roads in town.
Wait a second.
Time out.
property.
I mean, come on,
Please.
everybody's responsible for their children. You'll be responsible for your children
Yes.
when you're old and gray. And I am old and gray, and I'm still responsible, and now I got grandchildren. So as far as watching them, any place where there's traffic, that's my responsibility. That'll always be yours.
Correct.
You agree with that?
But it's also
agree
the
with it?
responsibility of the people driving in cars to stop for pedestrians in a crosswalk, and
Okay.
they do not.
Okay.
They do not.
Okay. Ever.
Once a pedestrian is in a crosswalk, it is Illinois law that they stop and allow them to cross safely, not stand in the middle of the road.
You should take that up with the police then too.
It is a racetrack. It's
No,
like playing Frogger crossing that street.
But the thing is I understand what you're saying, and we will do what we can to enforce it. Some of us live in, I mean, Hawthorne Parkway, kids cross to go to school, and it's 4 lanes. I mean, they cross that to go to the parks, and just the same, and they have to be careful. That's a major.
Yes, and there's a very nice school there, and it's a nice
hang
park.
on. When Greg's Landing was built, the county dictated that there was going to be a county highway through there that was a collector street, and it's built to specifications to take significantly much more
It
traffic.
doesn't mean you have to do that.
Hang on. That's a county road over which we had We did the best we could to keep traffic. They wanted a straight shot through there. And thank you for Lake Charles. We were able to convince them that we could make that as circuitous a route as possible to try and help keep the traffic as down as much as possible. It's designed to be that kind of a street, the same as those of us who live along Hawthorne Parkway and Greenleaf know that there's going to be heavy traffic on, Hawthorne's Parkway
Doesn't mean you have to continue to allow more traffic to come down that street. There is so much more you can do to enhance that property. I think it's in your hands.
What would you
And-
see there, though? It's a commercial piece of
The hotel.
property.
It's a commercial piece of property,
that a
but we
commercial
don't want a two-story building blocking the view, all the traffic, all the noise. I'm not going to go back through everything everybody has
Have the
said,
traffic and the noise,
but
whether it's
you should be
Walmart or
able to make it
Myers or whatever. it's gonna be.
enhance our community, not bring it down. There's so much more you can do. And I think it's your responsibility, and you should be excited to be putting something in there that the residents are going to feel so happy about. Just like with Mariano's, we can all stand up here and say thank you. Thank you for thinking of us. Thank you for adding to the community. Thank you for making it enjoyable for the children.
The residents weren't happy with Lowe's
And the
and
residents
Mariano's.
weren't happy
They didn't
with
want
it. We had
Well,
residents
then
with that.
why are you continuing to put in things that the residents are not happy with?
So
You continue to do it anyway.
Hang on, because
said-
we have to, it's a village form of government, and we are not from one particular, we're from the village. We actually had, when Greg's Landing was being built, and this is my favorite example of what you're saying.
Love it.
This group doesn't want it. We had two people from your development, Greg's Landing, sit up here in the same night, and when we were trying to put in a park, and we were talking about a spot at one end of the street, and the gentleman who was at this end of the street said this was a great place for the park to go. And then the gentleman who lived next to where the park was going to go got up and said, no, it would be better if it was at the other end of the block. And so what we have to take into account is the global issue and try to make this as palatable for everybody that lives close, and still at the same time, no, hang on. You talk about the backup beepers. I listen to those backup beepers all the time for the people coming to plow your streets, because we built a larger public works building right behind my house, because it was for the betterment of the entire community. And I understand what you're talking about, and if there were something better coming forward, I'd love to see it, but this is the best thing that's come forward. I agree with you, the Super Walmart, no way I was ever going to vote for that, not a chance. But this, I think, fits, and we'll continue to tweak this as best we can.
I don't think this is palatable for the majority of the people living around here. I think you all believe that. Like you just said, this is the best thing that's coming along. And if you're just going to go with the best thing that's coming along, that's not the right decision.
I've had a lot of people tell me they want this.
Are they here? Where are those people?
I'm sorry. I've tried to be really honest with you, and I don't appreciate that reaction. I met with Miss Sheldon earlier today. I wanted to hear what you had to say. I agree with that. You need to understand that's the truth. I don't just hear from just the people that live in Bay Hill or in Greg's Landing. I also hear from the people who live in Evergreen, on Evergreen and off of Deer Path. And there are a lot of people that really have said they do want this to come.
Well, then they should come and tell us all about that too.
Nobody ever comes when they're in favor of something. I've been up here too many years.
It's like voting.
Well, why doesn't Menards build on the former location that they had in Mundelein? Have they ever talked about that?
Because they were getting the.
That's
Super Walmart's
Super
going
Walmart.
in there.
Yeah.
Super Walmart's going.
Great.
It is, that's where they're going.
You've had your
Okay.
chance. No.
Nope, you've already spoken once.
Well, here, do you want to, obviously, the developers are here. Do you want to hear anything from them? With that said, is anybody, how many people attended any other meetings? Okay. Did you get the minutes from those meetings Yeah, they're online. Okay. And you reviewed them, right? Some people did. All right.
He did.
Okay, that's fine. But what I'm saying is that, you know, I guess we're in the same, you know, position with the folks that are here as we were, you know, when I started this discussion and asked who supports the Menards, and nothing has changed in that regard. But along those lines, you know, there are a lot of other people in town. And I know there's people here that live 1.5 miles from there. And the traffic on Huntington, the traffic on Greg's Parkway, you know, those were boulevards that were designed to keep the traffic out of your neighborhoods. Okay, if that wasn't successful, please tell me. Has it worked at all? Do you get a lot of cut-through traffic? You know?
Through your neighborhood?
Where do you guys live?
On Sycamore?
No.
No, in your neighborhoods. Do you get people driving?
I mean,
through
I'm
your
not talking about
neighborhood?
Lakeview Parkway or Greg's.
You go to the collector streets to get out, but do people drive through your neighborhoods?
But you get a lot of people coming through your neighborhood looking to go someplace?
To go try to get out
And they cut down Hague Point?
So basically, nobody uses Huntington or Greg's Parkway. You got other ways to get out of the subdivision.
One at a time, and if you'd like to come up, give us your name, address, and
Chris Brown,
Doc,
2200
please
Beaver
sit
Creek.
down.
So the clerk can get it. Did you get it?
Please repeat it. Please repeat.
Chris Brown, 2200 Beaver Creek.
Thank you.
I don't want to rehash everything else that's been said, but my big concern is the safety. Since Mariano's has been there and Lowe's, traffic has increased. We know it's a throughway. Traffic comes from the west, it comes from the east. People want to avoid 60, they want to avoid 176. Most of the people that cruise there pretty quickly are not people that live in the area. Now that there's more traffic coming through, I turn west coming home from work onto Greg's Parkway every night, and there used to be a little backup before the T intersection with Lakeview Parkway. Now I get 20 yards onto Greg's Parkway before the first entrance to Mariano's, and it's jammed up. And there's no building where this Menard's going to be. There's no build up there. It's going to be horrific. My kids are at an age now where they could ride their bikes. I have 3 young children, and the parks seem to be on the interior. So if we want to go to Lake Charles or Torrey Pines Park, we have to cross.
Yeah, great.
Bless you.
You cross Greg's.
Parkway. You can't. It's a joke. I mean, it's hard to get out of there with a car. You got to punch it, cut someone off, kind of, weave your way through. But with kids, it's an absolute joke. And people don't stop. And when I stop to let someone cross, I have people behind me honking on their horn. So it was interesting. I saw you put up, I don't know, they're yield signs maybe with an arrow pointing down, pedestrians crossing. I was thinking maybe we're going to have the stop signs below it, the little red ones you see in a lot of subdivisions. When pedestrians are crossing, must stop, it's a law, whatever. Nothing. People don't look at those signs. Half of them are obstructed from the trees, but when they see them, what do? Nothing. I challenge each one of you. Go to one of those neighborhoods and try to cross the street at a semi-busy time of the day. See if anyone lets you through. They won't. If you have children, bring them. Nieces, nephews, neighbors, try it. It's a joke. I don't know if any of you played arcade games when you were younger. Frogger, that's what it's like, trying to cross the street there. So if Menards is going in, what are you going to do? What are you going to do that you didn't do when Lowe's went in and when Mariano's went in to at least keep the safety of the residents of Greg's Landing, and especially the children, at least at the level it was before those big stores went in? What have you done already, and what are you going to do now? That's my question. Are you just going to let the traffic fly through, let it get a little bit more congested?
We do have some plans on the board.
I think
Dave
everyone
Brown, our
would like to
engineer.
hear them.
Yeah.
Very good. Some history is probably in order. as part of the Greg's Landing development, for you to get water and sanitary sewer to your house, the county owns the water and sanitary sewer system, and there are certain conditions that they thought was important for this very, very large project called Greg's Landing. So what they ended up doing was saying, we want to make sure that this is designed to a boulevard. We want to make sure that it has certain capacity. So they weren't just anticipating that this roadway would only be built for Greg's Landing. They understood it would have been an interconnection from Butterfield Road to Milwaukee Avenue. So the capacity of the roadway is designed for 15 to 17,000 cars. Originally, the county, so what have we done prior to this? The county wanted it to be a 5-lane roadway. Picture when you're driving through your neighborhood. Look how beautiful Greg's Parkway is. So we did push back with the county. We knew water and sanitary sewer was important to all the residents, but we wanted to make sure it had a balance.
A lot of people wouldn't have bought.
A lady who was talking about crossing the streets, I agree with you 100%. That's why we went out in terms of adding those additional signs for you and your kids and everyone else to try to cross the roadway. So we've added all new signs out there, and we're moving forward within the next 3 weeks trying to get a striper out there to put the crossings in stronger. I agree with you. People in Illinois, Chicagoland area, do not stop for cars. I don't know what I can do to affect drivers to stop for pedestrians. It is a concern. I don't know necessarily how to fix that. I'm trying to do the signage as best as one can to address that. What else are we doing? You might have seen more recently that there were traffic counters out at a couple of different locations. Let's put Mendards aside. I want to have my own traffic counts. Yes, the developer, they have their own engineer, traffic consultants, they do their counts, they give us reports. I've got our own traffic engineer looking at the numbers, and then we're also meeting with them. We have additional meetings coming up, trying to work through the different details. Specifically, we are looking at Greg's Parkway at 2 different locations, Huntington and Lakeview. We think right now, based on where we're at, that potentially they need traffic signals already. This roadway was designed in anticipation of a commercial development occurring on Milwaukee Avenue. It was planned in it. So this isn't necessarily, as I look at things over the last 21 years, you may look at it as additive traffic. I look at it that was part of the package that we worked through to try to have the roadway built. In terms of the roadway itself, I think the traffic moves well. We're looking at the intersections. I think the intersection is more where the problems are, and you'll experience, and you have seen backups there. That's what we've seen, and that's what we've been working on.
There's a difference between through traffic moving well and then safety of children and the residents. And I'm not so concerned with what the road was going to be. It's what it is now. And now there's a problem.
It's not quite where it was planned for, and that's one of the things we're looking at.
That's the past. I don't understand.
No. That was the plan. The road was designed to be what it has become. It was designed to hold that.
But it's not working.
Well, hang on. The other couple things he's been talking about is we're looking at potential for some kind of signage, like a stop sign or that, when it meets warrants at Huntington, because that probably will need that very shortly. We're looking at either a traffic signal or the potential of a roundabout at Lakeview and Greg's, because that bottleneck needs to be opened up, and he's already working on that. And right now it's a case of, does it meet warrants to have a stoplight there, which would help, and or one of the other things we've talked about is a roundabout, which I think would help the flow of traffic significantly, and there is enough room there to put one in.
David, a quick question for you. You know, you put up those signs that point down to the crosswalks, and you're talking about having, I think you call them stripers out there. So you recognize there's a problem coming out of the neighborhoods for people that are trying to cross the parkway. If the initiatives you're putting in place aren't working, and I think you recognize that, you stated that you can't get people to stop in the state of Illinois for crosswalks. What's the plan you're going to put in place to get them to stop? What else are you going to do if the signs and brighter white stripes on the road aren't going to work?
So when we look at traffic-related issues, we look at it threefold. One's education, one's signage, one's enforcement. Police officers have been out there. They do regular patrols out there and put their stealth equipment out to help with enforcement, and they spend a lot of time on Greg's Parkway in Huntington.
No further signage, none of those, I don't know the exact description, but it's like a
You said
smaller
earlier
red-
that signage, that people don't even notice the signage. I think that's what you said earlier.
No.
Is more
When you have a
signage going to
stop
do it?
sign there, and I forget the verbiage, can anyone help me out here? The little red stop signs below those crosswalk signs?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's like state law, if a pedestrian is crossing, you must stop. What about those? Is that an option?
I think your point that you said earlier is spot on. People don't read the signs, they're not noticing the
Are you
signs.
talking about the little short ones that go in the middle of the road that they've now got like on Hawthorne Parkway and that, or?
It's same size.
Because those are kind of things that we can look at certain places putting up there, and they help. I mean, I've spent a number of years directing traffic at the schools, and, you know, I could be out there wearing an orange vest with a stop sign in my hand and nearly get run over. But education, and like I say, we'll, you know, if you can give us a location where there are problems, we'll send out extra enforcement. And those are some ideas to look at as we go forward with these, where you're putting in those crosswalks. Those are fairly easy to put in, aren't they, those short signs?
Those specific signs we use a lot in front of the school areas
Well, and we've
and
got
try
the
to
one for Rust
designate
Bowling
them
now.
for them.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Install it. Get some and install them.
I did read the minutes. It's 1652 North St. Andrew, by the way, Scott Brand. I couldn't tell what happens if the business fails. So this business is a very specific structure, very specific. As best as I could tell, it has only reuse for a hardware store. What happens if it fails? Is there any reuse? I mean, it can't be demoed or rebuilt. So that's the question I have is, have we thought that through? Because if it's a strip mall or a plaza or any other number of stores, it has reuse if the business fails. You mentioned that, you know, it's 20 million in revenue and people aren't always happy with the outcome or the decision, and I appreciate the candor on that, but this is a big bet. If it's wrong, there's nothing else that can go there, and you're now left with an abandoned building. Is there a plan for reuses?
I could, well, I could give you an example of what transpired in town with the, you know, the Builders Square. That became obviously a Home Depot, but the Super Walmart, that became DSW Shoes, Joanna's Fabric.
But this is
Ashley
a warehouse.
Furniture.
I mean, we've been looking at the site map for a while.
Well,
and I've looked at it.
the Kmart didn't have the facade on it that it does now.
I understand
And
that,
that
but
was
this
like
is
made in-
significant change. And I'm just asking, I don't expect an
Well,
answer.
I'm just telling you.
I want to make sure that if we move forward,
You asked
there
the
is a
question.
contingency plan for how it could be reused, because
You know-
despite what the studies show, there's a possibility it will fail, or Lowe's will fail. One of them, in my opinion, will likely fail because of the scale. We have to figure out, that's going to be a very expensive outcome. I know we want the 20 million in revenue, but what's the cost if it fails? And have we assessed?
Well, I mean, obviously you can say that about any
But there's
retail
reuse
location in
But there's reuse in other retail structures. There's very limited
There's
reuse in
always
the structure.
reusable
Trust me, there would
structures.
be reuse in a building this size.
Absolutely.
And it's already happened in a 200,000 plus building in town, which was the Super Kmart. Yeah, that's an answer, and it's a reality.
It's a dissatisfying answer.
Well, I didn't assume it wouldn't be, you know.
I just want to have just one simple comment. My name is Evelyn Dollenham. I live at 1259 Briarwood Lane in Libertyville, and I'm one of the handful of people, and my friends are sitting back here, who is going to be directly impacted because I will live right behind where the diesel trucks will be pulling in to drop off their deliveries. For my investment into my property, that's going to be horrendous. I'm a single mom with 2 college kids, and I had moved to Libertyville in hopes of increasing my property value, so when it's time for me to retire, I have something to retire on. And if you do this to that plot of land, you are directly impacting me and my future, and I really, really object.
That's it?
Any
Okay.
statements from the board?
Nope.
You know, well, why don't we
I could go on.
go start with
Yeah.
trustee Schultz and move
Sure,
on down the
I
line?
can go on infinitum, disputing and pointing out fallacies and inaccuracies that have been brought up over and over again. I think, we've gone through the process. We've identified, or Menards has identified a desire to come here and develop this property. Menards, in my opinion, is the leader in the home improvement segment. Again, folks,
It's your opinion.
I was very kind. I didn't catcall you. I don't expect you ever to applaud me, but I do expect you to have a bit of decorum. You know, when we start talking about decorum, when we start talking about people not stopping to let people through, it's the same thing. We need to respect one another. Now, I know that this is near and dear to your hearts because you're right there, but in my estimation, based on all the information I've been given, there's 5 homes in Libertyville, 5 units that are directly impacted. And in fact, this project is going to improve the drainage so that hopefully you won't have any flooding in the future, and flooding is going to be a bigger issue with your property values than this facility. We're talking about 10 or 12 trucks per day over basically a 12-hour period, 1 per hour. School buses come by your house more often than that during the day with the number of districts and grade levels and start times that are spewing a lot more diesel fumes than these few trucks will. We're not allowing any nighttime operations. For those of you that wanted the 7-story hotel, I don't think that was anybody that lived on Crenshaw, but for those of you that wanted that 7-story hotel, well, there is one down in Wheeling. Wheeling had a pony up, what, $30 million? And what are the chances of that getting repaid? Slim and none. We're here trying to work for the entire village. When the village had one home improvement store, it went out of business. It didn't go out of business because we weren't supporting it, because it was the only one in town. It went under because of poor management. So these 3 operations believe that they can coexist here. The studies, the retail experts say that this is going to improve, in fact, the overall home improvement. Many of you, I know, are either retired or not directly involved in day-to-day maintenance of your homes. You pay others to do that. But trust me, the people throughout this community, the 25,000 people of this community, plus those in the other communities that surround us, are going to be very appreciative of the choices that we're providing them. Menards is going to improve this entire lot, this entire parcel. Menards, in conjunction with Bradford, is going to grade it out and prepare it so maybe we'll be able to get some higher quality facilities that you're all demanding, but none of you pay. None of you go to white tablecloth restaurants. Now, call me a snob or whatever, but we can't get good restaurants in town because you know where we go as a community? We go to Portillo's. That's what this community is about. We're families and young and we don't support white tablecloths. Please, folks, I listened. You can listen to me. You don't have to agree. You don't have to believe me. But if I wasn't right, we'd have all kinds of opportunities. We'd have the bonefish and all these other, the P.F. Changs. We couldn't even get P.F. Chang to come in with whatever it was, Pee Wee Chang or whatever, Payway. All right? We are getting a Maggiano's. It's all part of the tax rebate that we're providing to the mall to get them to do something to keep that alive. We're working very hard as a board, as a community, to keep things vibrant and moving forward. So basically, after this little diatribe, you can kind of figure out where my vote's going to be. Again, in my mind, these folks are the leaders, and they're going to do nothing but improve the home improvement category for Vernon Hills as a shopping destination.
Yeah, Trustee Hudson.
I appreciate listening to all of you, and I hope that you appreciate too where we as a board have come over the years. I've worked on many projects from Centennial Crossings. We worked on Greg's Landing. When Lowe's and Mariano's were proposed, many people were opposed to that. We worked with Don Cathan, we worked with Chet Liss, and I think we developed a good retail development over there. I believe that these gentlemen over here are hearing your concerns. My intention is to hold them to the fire, that they will make sure that this is a quality development, that they keep in line with what's expected with regards to deliveries, with regards to what's put out there. I will make sure that they do that for you. I think all of you are yes, would I love a Crate and Barrel? Would I love a Nordstrom's rack? Yeah, I'd love all those things, but those aren't going to happen. We've tried, and those aren't going to happen. They're not there. Go to Deer Park. Things are closing there right now. Things are closing in Lincolnshire. Those people can't survive down there. We have amenities coming into the mall, and I'm really pleased with that. We're working on a $15 million project, so I'm proud of where I live. I've taught many of your kids. They're 2, 3s, 4s, and 5-year-olds. Yeah, I love those kids, and I want them to have a good, safe environment. So we're going to make sure that we provide. I know Zoe. I had Zoe. I love Zoe. She's a great kid, and I want her to cross safely and get to those places. I also want her to know that she's going to drive someday. And these kids are driving all around town now in the summer, and we have to be responsible for them too, because they're the ones that get hurt and get in the accidents. I'm sure you've got kids that are driving as well. So we'll work to make sure that those roads are there. But I do believe that we could develop a quality development. We've listened to your concerns. We're not at an end point here. We're going to continue to make sure that the people that are in Bay Tree are going to get the landscaping, the requirements that they need. But I believe that, yes, we will have a quality development. It will look nice. It'll be pleasing. And that's what we're going to get there. You're not going to get these other great stores that you think you're going to want, because we've got them all. So that's just a reality. I mean, I've stayed here for too long, and yeah, I'd love to see that all. But as long as you're open, I'm open here. I'm willing to work through those issues as best possible. We're not going to please everyone. I back up to the train station. I hear the tracks every day. My house hasn't depreciated. It's okay, and I'm happy there. I'm fine there. I deal with that. But I'm glad that I was able to double track a train system so people could go to Chicago and work. And it's in my backyard. I see the train. When the trees are down, I see the station and all of that too. So I'm willing to listen. I want to make sure that you gentlemen over here understand you're going to be held to the line on what we're talking about here. And we may need to make and tweak and fine-tune changes. And I hope that you understand that, because if you don't, then you won't have my support. But if you do that, then you will.
Trustee Cook?
A couple of concerns about the development at Dave, where are we at on the traffic light where this would cross into Mariano's?
So their traffic engineer and our consultant have went back and forth. We've looked at it in terms of the cross from Mariano's, and the proposed access to Menards would be a traffic signal.
And is that because in reading the documents, it's like, well, maybe, and
Yeah, they've been able to refine it through conversations. They did produce a more recent document. Essentially, right now, existing conditions, a traffic signal is not warranted. Menards' first phase, a traffic signal is warranted. We do need to go to LDOT and make sure they agree with our findings, but that's our findings.
because that's pretty close to well, that pretty much is a deal breaker for me because that intersection is bad now. The other problem I have with the traffic flow on this is the left onto Milwaukee at the eastern entrance. I would like to see us get, and it was suggested to me earlier today, I hadn't thought of it, that we get, maybe, Chief, you could get some of Libertyville's traffic history at coming out of Jewel there, because that's a full access as well, and you can make a left coming out of the Jewel there, and I'd like to see their traffic accident numbers, because it's counterintuitive to me that IDOT would let us go left out of there onto Milwaukee Avenue, because it's a significant conflict point in terms of the turning there, and those two traffic elements are just real serious problems for me.
They've submitted to IDOT. IDOT has asked a few questions. They want to see the geometrics and some more traffic information, so they haven't made it through the IDOT process either.
Okay, because both of those two traffic things are significant concerns for me. And the hours you've agreed to on the trucks, we're going to hold you to that. Because it just, you have to.
Well, along those lines, what was it? Was it 5-Star Distributors in Continental Executive Park? They used to deliver their food products that were in, refrigerated units, and they used to leave them running in the parking lot until, the next morning. And there was a hue and cry from the Deer Path neighborhood, and that got changed. So as far as, running trucks in and out of this site, it'll be done during a civilized hour as opposed to in the middle of the night. And we already have that commitment from the developer. I just want to say too, there's more technical review hearings. There's what's the schedule, Jack? When's P&Z meeting again on this?
Currently, there's not a set date for the next Planning and Zoning Commission
But
meeting.
they will be coming back.
It will be coming back before P&Z, yes. Early July is the anticipated time.
So, these comments that were made tonight, even though this chair's not going to, not vote to approve this, we will certainly try to continue to incorporate as much as we can to make this, something that's acceptable in some way, shape, or form. And we've done that with projects for decades. So with that said, I'll ask Trustee Schwartz for her comments.
Well, this is a major commercial piece of property in which there will be this is a major piece of commercial property. There will be something put on here. It will increase traffic. That's the facts that we have to live with. So in this case, we've tried on all the other projects to make it the best looking project we can make it. When Lowe's was going up, the residents that were behind Lowe's got very active in making sure that the back part of it was shielded as much as possible from their homes. So we definitely want you to be at the meetings, to give your input of the best way to make it look in the back that will satisfy you. So.
And when is the meeting with the homeowners and the landscaper, the architect? Isn't that this week yet?
Yes.
Thursday afternoon?
Correct.
Okay, who's coming to that meeting? I will be there. Well, I know you'll be there, but I mean, some of the folks, yeah. I would strongly suggest. Right, yeah, and well, I would think so. And plus the individuals from Libertyville.
It would be here,
Where's it at, John? Or,
right here.
yeah, it's right here. 2 p.m. 2 p.m. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Trustee Markwart?
When this originally came up, I was against it. But you have to understand, we've gone over this many times. This whole board has. You, the residents, may have caught up. I've heard one say, just heard about it. Well, we haven't. We've been on this for a long time. The thing is that still, I'm for it now, only for the fact that I've done my homework out of this. There are negatives that you're going by. There are a lot of positives for this. And I know we can't please all the people. It won't work. I've been living in this town for 34 years. Tom has brought a story which he talked about, again, about where a park was supposed to go. And unfortunately, you can't please all the people. They want it in somebody else's backyard. Well, this piece of property, I would love to have the mom and pop stores, $1 million an acre. There's no mom and pop store that can even afford that, and even would stay in business for it. In the process of my life of things, I've dealt with rehab homes, commercial properties. In the aspect of saying, do we need another big store for taking care of homes and stuff? Well, we're probably one of the biggest ones for furniture in this town. I don't know how many stores we have, but we are one of the biggest.
You mean in Lake County?
In Lake County.
That's probably true.
Do I think Menards will make it here? Yes. Do I think Lowe's will make it here? Yes. Do I think Home Depot will make it here? Yes. It's not just you, the residents, that are going to be going to these stores. It's going to be all the surrounding areas that will be coming to the stores. So in just finishing, we're there to hear your side. And again, if you can persuade me to the point of no, please do your homework and take a look at what this is. I know the traffic counts, the whole thing. There are other roads here that are have more traffic, Deer Path, all these stores. 45, we've been trying to have that into a 4-lane road. And it's already been planned for that. But again, it's funded by the state. So just in finishing, we are there to listen. And that's why we've given you the opportunity. You may not feel that we have, but we have. And we have done our homework here. This board does work very hard together, and staff. We try to take a look at every aspect. So understand what we go through here. You're saying something that you've just seen. We've been doing this for months. Thank you for your time.
Trustee Williams?
There's not a lot I can add to what hasn't already been said, other than ditto to that.
Okay.
It's in.
Oh.
I said a lot.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
This board is one of the hardest working boards that I have sat on, and I've been sitting up here a long time. And as been pointed out, we have been doing a lot of homework on this project, not just on this project, but on every project when they come before the board. And we usually do not please a segment of the population on any of those projects.
Well, we got a beautiful time.
But all of you have said you are proud, or at least most of you that spoke said you like what we have done in the community. You're proud to be a part of this community. I'm very proud of what we've done with this community. And while I'm sure you're going to walk away very upset tonight, please remember we did listen to you. We do hear your concerns. We will take into consideration all of those concerns, not just in our dealings with them, but in your traffic patterns over there in general. We do care about you, and we hope that you would care about us and respect that. While we may not be happy with us tonight, you do agree with what we've already done. I see a few heads shaking, then maybe you shouldn't be living in town. I'm sorry, but that's the way I feel about it. Thank you.
Okay. Does the petitioner have anything to add? If you heard these concerns tonight, and these have been addressed within reason. You want to state your name for the record, please?
Yes, sir. I'm Tom O'Neill with Menard Incorporated, 5101 Menard Drive. Again, this has been a process of a number of iterations of plans. We have come a long way, both from a site planning process and listening to concerns of neighbors to the west, neighbors to the north, from a village board perspective, and trying to address those concerns with early on where the access was coming in from Greg's Parkway, where the loading docks were to be located. A number of iterations of plans have occurred to try and address those issues over time. And I think that goes towards everything involved with the project, whether it be the site plan, whether it be the elevation plans, the landscaping, the traffic. We have representatives from our traffic consultant here that's been working with IDOT, that's been working with the village. All of this is in an effort to meet and exceed those concerns, and we think we've come a long way, and we think we're going to get across the finish line and be in a position to build a Menards store here this summer and fall.
Okay. All right. I'm going to ask the committee of the whole, is there a motion to approve a special use permit for a planned unit development to allow development of 4-lot subdivision and a retail building known as Menards on Lot 1? Do you want to do these individually? We can.
Well, you want to do this as a direct the staff to prepare the necessary ordinances.
Right. Well, exactly.
Subject to the conditions.
Subject to about, 300 conditions.
And making aware that this is not a final vote.
Right. And 2, preliminary and final approval of the plat of subdivision. And 3, preliminary and final approval of site plan for Lot 1.
So made.
Is there a motion and a second? Roll call.
Trustee Schwartz?
Aye.
Williams?
Aye.
Hebda?
Aye.
Schultz?
Aye.
Markwart?
Aye.
Cook?
Aye.
For the record, I'd vote aye. Motion carries. Then this won't be back on the board agenda for what? Because of the additional public hearings till when?
Well, you have the
In
public
July?
meetings. You have the public meetings that'll come back to the Planning and Zoning Commission for landscaping and architectural review. So once that's completed, it'll come back to the committee to whole again with further information, along with the recommendations from the Planning and Zoning Commission, and then you'll consider it as a package. So.
So which meeting do you think it would be in July?
Hard to tell. I think it's dependent upon how quickly they turn around their plans and get those in so that we have sufficient time to be able to review.
Okay. All right.
So tentatively, the second meeting in July for Committee of the Whole, and then the first meeting in August for final board approval?
That's possible. I mean, you also may need a special meeting before the end of July to complete the process, depending on the availability of the board and the petitioner and the like there. So just we'll talk about that as we go forth.
Okay. All right. In the next meeting, though, with any residents is this Thursday.
Correct, and maybe a clarification on it. It's a working meeting. I mean, we're going to be working with the president of the Bay Hill HOA and her representatives. They have a landscape chairman, I believe, that'll be coming in and working with the staff and Menards representatives to work on the enhancement of that landscaping along that berm to try to address some of the comments on screening and the like. So it is not a public meeting. There are no elected officials that will be at that meeting. So it's a working meeting that'll be held in this room. So
Could we make sure that we get connection somehow with the Briarwood people as well in terms of trying to look at the overall total plan?
Sure.
The landscape architect, is that the same one that was previously used? In other words, Oakmont president?
No, it's a resident that actually lives in Bay Hill that
Okay.
will be working with those folks.
Okay. The only thing is he available? Mr. Fluno available? Yeah, he just brings some continuity from the Lowe's project.
See if he's
I'm not trying to increase the size of your group, and I understand your reluctance because these folks in Baytree really are impacted, but if he's available, he might lend some continuity.
Well, I guess the reluctance in that is that Brian's a very talented individual, and if he has time, obviously he's welcome. But the reluctance in that is Bay Hill has its own team.
Right.
And they're working with their own team to review this. And the other part of this is there is a significant difference between what went on behind Lowe's and Mariano's in this.
Right,
So there's a whole different
distances.
context to work with there. So.
Right. Okay.
Okay. Next item is Deer Path parking study.
Your Honor, do you want to continue on with this discussion tonight, or would you rather bring this back?
Yeah, we could bring it back, you know.
I mean,
We gotta go into closed session.
We have closed session for litigation.
Yeah.
So it would be your call, Your Honor.
We didn't have.
You betcha. All right, so
Oh, yeah, they had.
are we looking for a motion to adjourn?
To go into closed session.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay?
And we're going into closed session for ongoing litigation.
Yep. Okay, roll call.
Trustees Williams.
Aye.
Hebda.
Aye.
Schultz.
Excuse me.
Aye.
Markworth.
Aye.
Cook. Schultz.
Oh,
Aye.
aye.
Lady, there's a meeting still going on here.
Take that. 25,000 people that live in.